my student. Yes, it's me again, Madam Gracious Kanzini from Educare Tanzania, my Form 4 student. Welcome to proceed with our chemistry session series. And my student, we are proceeding with our topic, which is all about soil chemistry. And in this topic, we have several subtopics, whereby we have the soil formation, we have the plant nutrient in the soil, we have the soil reaction, we have manure and fertilizer, but we have soil fertility and productivity. My student, we have tried to pass through some of the subtopics, whereby we are proceeding with our concept of manure and the fertilizer. But in the previous session, we tried to look on those types of fertilizers, whereby tuliona kwamba kuna nitrogenous fertilizers, kuna ile phosphatic fertilizers, vile tuliona kuhusiana na potassic fertilizers. So tuliona kuhusiana na nitrogenous fertilizers, tukaona kwamba nitrogenous fertilizers ni zile kind of fertilizer which is made up of the single primary micronutrient ambayo ni nitrogen. So today tukaona na advantage, their disadvantage, but also today we are going to look on the another types of fertilizer, which is the phosphatic fertilizer. When we talk about phosphatic fertilizer, my student, here it contains the phosphorus as only primary micronutrient. Kwamba this kind of phosphatic fertilizer yenyewe imeconsist the only single primary micronutrient ambayo ni phosphorus. So for example, we have the single superphosphate ambayo ni SSP, the single superphosphate. But also chemical formula yake ndio hii hapa. We have the calcium, we have this is phosphate, but we have the calcium, this is sulfate. So this is the chemical symbol for the single super sulfate. But also we have the double super sulfate ambayo ni DSP. So we have the single, we have the double, but also we have the triple super phosphate. So we have the single super phosphate, which is SSP, but also we have the double super phosphate, which is DSP, but we have the triple super phosphate, which is TSP. My student, now let us see the properties of phosphatic fertilizer. So here we are going to look on the properties of phosphatic fertilizer in general. But then after tutaenda kuangalia hizi phosphatic fertilizer ambapo tuna single super phosphate SSP, but also tuna double super phosphate ambayo ni DSP, but we have the triple super phosphate ambayo ni TSP. So tutaenda kuona tunapongelea SSP yenyewe ina characteristics zipi ambazo zina base humu. Tunavyoongelea DSP ina characteristics zipi and so forth. So here let us look in general sifa au properties za hizi phosphatic fertilizers. So phosphatic fertilizers remain in the soil for a long time. Kwamba zenyewe zina remain in the soil kwa muda mrefu. Zinabakia kwenye soil kwa muda mrefu. But also they are sprangly soluble in water. Kwamba zenyewe hazidissolve in water. Slightly, not completely, but sprangly. Zenyewe ni sprangly soluble in water. They are not easily leached and usual uses at the planting time. Kwamba zenyewe sio rahisi kuwa removed au kuwa leached. So ni ngumu sana kuwa removed from one place to another katika zile agents of the soil. Lakini vile usual wakati mwingi sana zinatumika wakati wa planting time. My student, wakati tunaangalia categories of fertilizer, tuliona kwamba fertilizer inaweza kuwa categorized in terms of time of application. Ndo kama hivi. So tutaenda kuona kabisa deeply katika in terms of time of application. So kumbe hii kind of phosphatic fertilizer yenyewe ni very conducive or very suitable to use wakati wa planting time, wakati wa kupanda. So another is slight scorching effect and usually mixed with the other to minimize scorching effect. So zenyewe zina hii hapa slight scorching effect. Kwa hiyo zina hii scorching effect. So kwa kawaida huwa zina tabia ya kujichanganya na other others ili kuweza kuminimize hii scorching effect. So they tend to mix with the others substance, so as after mixing with other substance yenyewe ina reduce au ina minimize hii effect of scorching. Now let us see the characteristic now or the properties of fertilizer, this kind of fertilizer ambapo tunaongelea phosphatic fertilizers. Tunapoongelea phosphatic fertilizers tuna single super phosphate, ambapo kwenye single super phosphate yenyewe imecontain 20 to 21 of phosphorus pentaoxide, kwamba ina 20 mpaka 21 za phosphorus pentaoxide. When we talk about phosphorus pentaoxide, simply here we have the 2 phosphate but we have the 5 oxygen. So this penta comes from the prefix name of the penta. Penta is the prefix name of the 5 number. Tunajua kwamba tuna mono, di, tri, tetra. So those prefixes imekuwa included hapa. Najua my form 4 student mpo aware katika hili kwa sababu mlisoma katika chemical, katika bonding, formation, chemical formula and so forth. Kwa hiyo hizi concept za ku name haya majina, naming the chemical formula, nomenclature, I think it's the form 1, if not form 1, form 3. Na kama haujaelewa kuhusiana na this naming mechanism or nomenclature mechanism of this chemical names, so nilishafundisha hivi vipindi katika hizo class level form 1, form 2, so you can go through our media, you can click there, you can check, you can search maybe form 1 topic fulani, utaenda kuelewa in detail this concept. Now this is single super single super phosphate also do not induce the acidity to soil, kwamba yenyewe hai induce acidity kwenye soil, but also it supplies phosphorus, calcium and sulfur. Hii single super phosphate yenyewe ina tendency ya kusupply ina supply phosphorus, vile vile ina supply calcium metals or element, but not only that, ina supply vile vile ina sulfur element. So all these are essential elements for the plant growth. But also this is single super phosphate, it is soluble in water. Yenyewe ni soluble katika water. It means that katika maji ina tend to dissolve. But also white cream granule. Yenyewe it is made up of granule, white cream granule. Nyingine kule tuliona ni yellowish brown, greenish brown, orange brown. Lakini hii katika phosphatic fertilizer, hii single super phosphate yenyewe ni white cream granule. Another is DSP fertilizer. The DSP fertilizer, this is the double super phosphate. So the double super phosphate, it contains 43 to 52% of the phosphorus pentaoxide. Kwamba kwenye phosphorus pentaoxide kuna 43 na mpaka 52. So yenyewe ni grayish granule smaller than calcium nutrient. Kwamba yenyewe kumbe yenyewe ni grayish granule, lakini yenyewe ni smaller than hii calcium nitrate. Calcium nitrate yenyewe tuliona kwamba yenyewe ni greenish granules, lakini yenyewe huyu double super phosphate inakuwa ni smaller kuliko calcium nitrate. Another is triple super phosphate, ambayo yenyewe hii it have the only characteristic which is slightly acidic. It is slightly acidic. Now my student, let us look on the potassic fertilizer. When we talk about the potassic fertilizer, it contains potassium as the only primary micronutrients. Kwamba kwenye potassic only potassium is there, or there is a presence of potassium ikiwa kama primary micronutrient. So they include potassium chloride, ambayo ni hii hapa, potassium chloride. Sometimes it's known as chloride of potash. It's another name. But also easy potassic fertilizer, it includes potassium sulfate, this one. potassium sulfate. Now, something to note here in this potassic fertilizer is that potassic fertilizer are not commonly used in Tanzania because the soil are rich in potassium, kwamba udongo mwingi sana wa Tanzania is made up of potassium elements. So this kind of potassium au potassic fertilizer is not mostly used in Tanzania. So you can't find a product of potassic fertilizer in such because udongo mwingi katika ardhi au katika land ya Tanzania it is surveyed, researched and ikaonekana kwamba it's made up of this element, kwamba udongo uko sana katika element ya it's made up or it is rich of the essential element of potassium. So ni ngumu sana madukani kuzalisha hizi bidhaa kwa sababu kama udongo it is rich of the potassium element, so ni ngumu sana wewe kwenda kutafuta mbolea kutafuta kind of fertilizer to add in your soil while the soil yenyewe ina hii potassium. So ndio maana unakuta sometimes people they don't use the fertilizers hizi products za madukani, mbolea za madukani. Wanakuta wana plant their crops, wanapanda mazao yao, wanavuna vizuri na watumii mbolea, just zile manures ambazo zimedecompose pale, farm yard manures, mabaki yale, decomposition of some remaining plant materials and so forth, inapelekea mazao yanakuwa vizuri na wanavuna, kwa sababu mostly in Tanzania region or land udongo mwingi upo katika rich with potassium, essential element for the essential nutrient for the plant growth. So hautokuta sana sana madukani wana hizi bidhaa kind of fertilizer. But also now let us see the properties of this one potassic fertilizer. They have moderate scorching effect, kwamba zenyewe zina moderate scorching effect yake ni very moderate, ni ya kawaida, but also ni moderate soluble in water, kwamba katika water zina dissolve lakini in moderate way. Also they are more soluble than phosphatic fertilizer and less soluble than nitrogenous fertilizer, kwamba ukichukua potassic fertilizer ukaicompare na phosphatic fertilizer utaona kwamba ni more soluble, kwamba potassic itakuwa more soluble ukilinganisha na nani, na phosphatic fertilizer. Lakini ukija kuchukua potassic fertilizer na nitrogenous fertilizer, this potassic is very less soluble. I hope umeelewa point, kwamba ukichukua potassic na phosphatic na nitrogenous, utakuta kwamba nitrogenous ni very strong, very soluble, very soluble fertilizer compared to all. Na ukija kwenye potassic na huyu phosphatic, kwamba huyu potassic anakuwa ni very more soluble compared to phosphatic. Now let us look on the compound fertilizers. Compound fertilizer. When we talk about compound fertilizer, a compound fertilizer contains 2 or more of the primary micronutrients. Mwanzoni tulikuwa tunaona kulingana na tulikuwa tunaangalia the primary, ile ambayo kind of fertilizers which are made up of single micronutrient. Lakini hapa tunaenda kuangalia compound fertilizer ambayo it is made up of 2 or more primary micronutrients. They include the diammonium phosphate ambayo ni DAP, chemical formula yake ndio hii hapa, ammonium, this is phosphate. So diammonium phosphate is the kind of fertilizer which is compound fertilizer, ambayo yenyewe it is made up of 2 or more substance or primary micronutrients. So you can see you have the 2 or more micronutrients combined together. For instance, we have the ammonium phosphate. From the ammonium phosphate tuna here chemical formula yake hapa, tuna nitrogen, vile tuna phosphate. So nitrogen is the primary micronutrient, but also this phosphorus ni compound or element of the primary micronutrient. So unakuta zimekuwa combined together. That's why simply inakuletea maana ya compound fertilizers. Another is nitrophos. Nitrophos, hiyo ni another kind of compound fertilizer. But also we have the monoammonium phosphate. Monoammonium phosphate ambayo tunaita MAP. So this is a kind of compound fertilizers we have. Now, something to note here in the compound fertilizer is they made by mixing two or more straight fertilizer. Kwamba sasa tuliona kwenye zile categories tulikuwa na straight fertilizer na hizi compound fertilizer. Kwamba kumbe kwenye compound fertilizer yenyewe is made up of mixing two or more straight fertilizer. Kama straight fertilizer tuliona kwamba it's made up of single primary micronutrient. So once we mix, we take more than one this straight fertilizers is where we are going to have the compound fertilizer. So tunazimix zile two or more straight fertilizers together, ambapo tutaona kwamba kutoka kwenye fertilizer hiyo moja tuna nitrogen essential element, lakini tuna phosphorus essential element for plant growth. Another something to note here in compound fertilizer is that the fertilizer contain all the free primary micronutrients called the complete fertilizer. Kwamba yenyewe contain all the three primary micronutrients, ambayo hii hapa inaitwa complete fertilizer. Ni mbolea ambayo imejitosheleza. Imejitosheleza kivipi? Zile three main essential primary micronutrients ambazo zinakuwa required to the large quantity for plant growth zipo there, zinakuwa contained there kwenye hii kind of compound fertilizer. So kwenye compound fertilizer tuna nitrogen, tuna phosphorus, tuna potassium, zote kwa pamoja ziko humo ndani. So kwa jina lingine unaweza kukutana na complete fertilizer. So ukikutana na complete fertilizer, my student, don't be confused, usichanganyikiwe, mean that is the same with the compound fertilizer. Sasa tuone properties of this compound fertilizer, whereby we are going to look one after another. Tumeona kuna this one diammonium phosphate. Vile vile tumeona kuna hii nitrophos. Vile vile tumeona monoammonium phosphate. So tuangalie diammonium phosphate compound fertilizer ina sifa zipi? What are their characteristics? Now, the first one, it has fertile grade of 18:46:0. So these fertile ratios, grade ratios, tutaenda kuzisoma tunavyoendelea, lakini elewa kwamba this diammonium phosphate ina fertile grade ratio ya 18:46:0, but also it is moderate acidic, mean that ina kile kiwango cha acidic which is moderate, but also contain both nitrogen and phosphorus. Ina nitrogen and phosphorus at the same time. That's why is a compound fertilizer, but also applied at a planting time. Kwamba wakati wa kuplanting, wakati wa kupanda ndio inakuwa applied. Has fertility grade of 20:20, kwamba fertility grade yake ni ratio ya 20:20. So another is nitrophos. Nitrophos, this is moderate acidic, contain both nitrogen and phosphorus, but also we have the monoammonium phosphate, whereby this is simply moderate acidic. Now, my students, let us look on another category of fertilizer, which is in term, or which is in base of time of application. Time of application. Here, when we talk about time of application, there are fertilizers that are applied during different times, kipindi, misimu tofauti tofauti. Msimu wa kwanza, the time is during planting, wakati wa kupanda. Another is during crop is actively growing. Mmea pale tayari ushakuwa active, unakuwa una apply this kind of fertilizer. So during planting, what does it mean? Wakati wa kufanya planting, the phosphate and the compound fertilizers are usually applied. They called planting fertilizer. Kwamba wakati wa kufanya planting, pale ambapo ndo tunapanda, hizi phosphate na hizi compound fertilizer ndo zinatumika na zinaitwa planting fertilizer, kwamba mbolea za kupandia. Another is during crop is actively growing. Sasa pale ambapo mmea ushaanza kukua, upo active, unakuwa. So nitrogenous or potassic fertilizer are usually applied. Kwamba hapa wakati mmea upo active, una grow, the best kind of fertilizer to be applicable, or the time of fertilizer to be applied, to be applicable, is nitrogenous and potassium, kwamba zile fertilizer ambazo zipo made up of nitrogen, primary micronutrient as well as potassium element zinakuwa applied. They are called top dressing fertilizer, kwamba zenyewe ni top dressing fertilizer ambapo zinakuwa added juu kabisa. Kwa hiyo pale kutakuwa na ile supply of nitrogen, hizo potassium, minerals and so forth. Now my students, there is a task here, you have to attempt it. The purpose is to ensure that unajaribu kuelewa tunachojifunza ili utenge muda ku solve this kind of questions. So usiwe tu unasikiliza session then una leave it. So sikiliza then tenga muda wa kufanya maswali. So the question is, what do you understand on the following concepts? What do you understand about the compound fertilizers? What do you understand about the potassic fertilizers? What do you understand about the phosphatic fertilizer? Najua kwamba kama utatenga muda wa kufanya maswali itakuwa rahisi kwako kuelewa concepts zote ambazo tumezikava. The second question is, describe the difference between time of application during planting and during crops is active growing. So here, my students, mark the end of our session. Thank you so much for listening, for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and like our Media Educare TZ. Bye bye. Have a nice moment.
Purchase your tracks today.